I'm a very respectful guy. I came up to him before, tried to shake his hand, and he just walked past me like a disrespectful.
Tszyu sparked controversy as he called out Errol Spence for a cold handshake refusal before their big fight. Showing his disregard for warm greetings, Errol Spence Jr. treated the upcoming rounds like a battlefield.
It's just a lot, but just recently you was just talking about how he's gonna retire me and looking forward to retiring me and things like that. So, you know, I take that all in. That's serious. So, you know, I'm just looking forward to it, man. We're going to wars. I'm not in there to just be all hugging and, you know, kumbaya. And, you know, we can do that after the fight. It's wartime now. I didn't say anything disrespectful. I didn't call him a bitch or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know why he got his skirt up for.
Taking it as a personal insult, Tszyu claimed he was prepared to punish Errol Spence's ego.
There's no hate. Yeah, we're gonna kill each other, but it's outside of this sport. But he made it a little bit personal. So that's why when I was looking at him, I was like, nah, no more handshakes. I get it. I made the mistake, and that's changed my mindset.
Is that a mistake on his end for doing that? Not saying you weren't gonna go hard, but did it?
That's all right. That's all right. It's good to wake up a little bit. Yeah. We're not all friends in this sport. That's all right. That's all right. Some people you get along with, some people you don't. That's fine.
Mocking Tzyu's need for pre-fight affection, Errol Spence claimed he was not there to kiss or hug his opponent.
Shaking hands and and then next thing you know, we trying to knock each other head off. Like I told him, I shaking hand, give you a hug after the fight. But right now it's game time, it's war time, and we going to war, so I don't give a about all this shaking hands and kissing.
Accusing his rival of crossing a line, Tim described the verbal attacks as unethical and insecure.
Look, I've been brought up with humility and respect, you know, but I guess it doesn't work on both sides. But that's fine. I see how it is. It's all good.
As you stated up there as well, you know, he brought up your father, that you're not your father, that, and you said it yourself. It's been said in every single fight. Is that still something that kind of bothers you, that people want to bring that up?
No, it doesn't bother me. It just shows their insecurity. You know, that's all right. You know, that's fine. What my father's done in his career, I'm super proud of, and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Laughing at the threat to end his career, Errol Spence Jr. insisted the retirement talk was purely desperate.
Tim was talking about this is going to be his last fight in retirement. Do you see this as, for both fighters, the loser is looking at some, retirement?
I already got my right foot hanging out the door. Hey, we never know.
Shifting the focus from the heated face-off to the technical reality, experts began to weigh the odds of a brutal finish. Continuing his reflection, Shawn Porter said Errol Spence Jr. never lost his fire during time away. Porter noted Spence stayed active, focused on family, and kept a positive mindset. He added boxing still felt like both passion and profession for Spence, mixing love for the sport with earning a living.
Fire never left. You know, he's like he told me, he's been moving, he's been active. It hasn't specifically been boxing, but in his mind, and I'm inclined to agree with him. I've been moving. I've stayed away from the negative vices that I've had, and I've just been with my family. He seems like he's in a good, positive space, and I think that for him, for some of us, this is work. For other people, like some guys really love this thing and can't live without it and all that kind of stuff. I think for Errol, it's like a little blend of both. Like he loves boxing, he loves this aggressive, physical nature of this sport, and on top of that, he get to make money doing it.
On the contrary, Porter shifted focus to Tszyu, pointing out the ups and downs in his recent run. Porter recalled Tszyu bouncing back with wins after setbacks, but also suffering a tough stoppage that raised questions about his consistency. He then suggested both fighters had changed from their peak, setting up a matchup where neither entered at full dominance.
On the other side of the coin, Tszyu.
Yeah.
The Milton debacle that happened, came back, got himself a victory, goes in with Sebastian Fundora 2 times. I mean, and you talk about the first fight being a bloodbath back a couple Marches ago.
Right.
Just recently was stopped by him,
right.
And then comes back and gets on the winning side of things, but kind of up and down looking like maybe he's kind of circling the drain career-wise. But when you talk about the matchup and you match the skills, what Errol Spence does well or what Tszyu does well when he's on.
Right.
What type of matchup, I mean, how good of a fight are we talking about getting when these two guys actually get together on fight night?
Yeah, I think it's funny enough, neither of them are what they were.
Turning to his breakdown, Tim Bradley said Errol Spence Jr. no longer looked like the same dominant force in the division. He noted Spence appeared healthier overall, especially around his eyes, and suggested the time away may have helped his body recover after years of punishment.
Oh yeah, Errol Spence. Yeah, Errol Spence is back. He back. He ain't the big fish no more. Nah, not the big fish no more, man. But you know, the one thing that I'm looking at and I analyze him and I'm looking at his ass, I'm like, his eyes do look better. The motherfuckers ain't like cross, you know what I'm saying? The motherfuckers ain't low like that either, you know, like, I'm like, man, this motherfucker high before he fight. What the hell going on with Errol Spence, right? So, you know, his eyes look better. It looked like the rest was good for his body. You know, we when you training since you a little boy, man, early, and you train all them years, man, and having that time off, man, I'm pretty sure it done wonders for his damn body.
Expanding on his analysis, Bradley praised Errol Spence Jr. for his durability and continued sharpness despite long-term wear and tear. He insisted Spence still carried strong technical habits that defined his style and would likely remain unchanged. Bradley also suggested Spence would keep a steady, forward-pressing approach against a fighter like Tszyu.
There's a reason why. This dude is a miracle. Yeah, Errol Spence is a walking miracle, man. You know what I mean? So I ain't gonna doubt nobody strong like that. On the other hand, you know, he's a little older, 30, I think 35, 36 years old. He got the perfect style if everything is all right. Everybody asking me, oh, what do you think about Roy Jones? Roy Jones ain't gonna make no damn difference. I mean, it don't matter, man. Or Errol Spence, he's one of those fighters that know how to fight. He know how to fight. Errol Spence know what the hell he got to do. Errol Spence is the master of the basics. He know what the hell he got to do. Ain't nothing gonna change. He gonna let them hands go. He gonna take it to Tszyu, you know. And Tszyu is one of those guys, you know, stand right in front of you. He ain't one of them guys that pick up his feet and move.
Talking about the fight, Rolly Romero backed Tim and took shots at Errol Spence. He said he believed Tszyu would get the job done first. Romero also said he would be willing to step in and fight Spence afterward, adding more heat to the situation. The comments further fueled an already growing tension around Spence's comeback path.
Just in regards to the weight for this fight, Tim.
Oh yeah, 158. I can't complain.
The fight's up 58.
158.
And get the leftovers.
Of course.
Tim.
Of course.
Closing his assessment on Spence's outlook, Ronnie Shields stressed that Errol Spence Jr. simply needed to rediscover his old rhythm and confidence to return to top form. He pointed out that Spence was once avoided at his peak because of how dangerous he was, and believed that version could still resurface with the right focus and conditioning.
I mean, I don't know what Tszyu has to do, but, and I don't care what Tszyu has to do, because I'm with Spence. So.
I know.
But I think for Errol, you know, Errol just had to be Errol, you know. You got to get back to what got him to where he's supposed to be, you know. And, you know, Errol, you know, he has one defeat, you know, and that's against Errol Crawford. But before then, people were avoiding him like the plague, you know, because, you know, he's just that good. So I think he just got to get himself back into shape and get himself positioned to where he can do things that he did before.
Continuing his assessment, Shields noted he had recently observed Errol Spence Jr. in the gym and saw a fighter steadily rebuilding rhythm and sharpness. Shields pushed back on criticism around skipping a tune-up, dismissing the idea of easy return fights at that level. He implied every comeback carries real danger, regardless of opposition.
Everything's good. You know, he's feeling good, and he's trying to just recapture what he left.
Now, I've interviewed Robert Garcia, and I always ask his opinions on things and everything, and he said this is directly his opinion. I'm going to say it a little bit verbatim, but also at the same time paraphrasing. He says he feels that the reason why Spence went direct to a big fight against Tszyu and not took a tune-up fight was because he feels that maybe Spence doesn't have that much left in him. What do you think about that?
Well, what is a tune-up anyway? What is that? You know, I've been hearing, you've been hearing this since I've been in boxing, tune-ups. There's no such thing as a tune-up fight.
Building on that point, Barack Best had followed both fighters closely and understood the pressure around them. As the matchup approached, he believed Errol Spence Jr. facing Tszyu was no easy fight. He warned both needed a strong win to rebuild momentum. For Spence, this was a key step back to the top.
Oh, that's definitely happened. They're already talking about each other. That's definitely happening. I see that happening, and even though it's not a current champion, like Errol Spence probably wanted, you know, when he first started talking about coming back, he wanted to fight Sebastian Fundora, which now everybody's looking at, he's a hard guy to fight.
Wait a minute.
But that's how Spence is, you
know.
No
tune-ups.
Right, but even though he's not fighting a champion, Tszyu ain't a tune-up.
Of course
You know what I'm saying? He's actually a very skillful fighter. He just has some losses now.
Yeah.
You know, losing to Fundora, getting stopped or whatever, that hurt him a lot. And so they're both kind of like in the same boat.
Right.
Even though Spence only has one loss, they're both in the same boat where they need a good name now to put him right back on top, because they're right, especially Spence, you're right there. One good win.
Shifting focus, Best pointed out that Spence Jr. had stayed in shape despite the uncertainty around him. Best explained that training alongside Jermall Charlo while tensions lingered with his brother created an awkward dynamic. Still, Barack believes Spence did not care about personal ties, insisting he was willing to fight anyone if the opportunity made sense.
He's doing is staying in shape.
Yeah.
Staying in shape, you see all these pictures. But this is the thing, he must be in an awkward place right now, but I think awkward for him is easy because he's training now alongside Jermall Charlo.
Right.
Jermall Charlo is talking about Spence, you know,
Spence and all that.
Seems like he's not cool with his brother at the moment as well.
Which is so awkward and weird.
But if you're going to fight the twin brother of your stablemate, that's weird.
Super weird. That's super awkward. I mean, I would have thought that he probably went a different direction.
I think he don't care.
He don't care. Look, he said it before. He said, I'll fight. You know what I'm saying? If we cool and we quote unquote, oh, that's my bro type stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get money together.
Zooming into the breakdown, journalist Peter Badel called it a true crossroads fight, with both men already facing doubts from the outside. Badel highlighted the pressure surrounding Tszyu, hinting it could be a career-defining moment, while Spence returned after years away. He suggested time, doubt, and pressure all collided here, shaping a defining test.
I think it's a beautiful crossroads fight. You've got two guys who seemingly are finished in the eyes of some. I mean, Tim, people think he's on the wane. And we haven't seen Errol Spence for 3 years in the ring, 1,009 days to be exact. So, look, that raises real question marks at age 36. Is the truth no longer the truth? And look, I think it's the moment of truth for Tim. I think if Tim loses this fight, it's over for me. I'd retire if I was Tim. But I think Tim can find something in himself, especially with Jeff Fenny training him. I do think there's been criticism of the new union, but I think it's the right union for this fight. And I know there's been controversy about whether it's the right call, but I think Jeff's got the right motivational tools, because I think at this stage of Tim's career, I don't really think he learns a lot technically.
Adding on, Badel said the fight carried the kind of chaos boxing thrives on, where heroes, villains, and storylines naturally collide. Badel pointed to deeper roots in the rivalry, hinting at past comments that still lingered around Tim Tszyu, quietly fueling emotion beneath the surface heading into the matchup. Beneath it all, both fighters were driven by more than just competition.
Look, this has got roots. This feud is pretty deep-seated, I believe. I mean, I know Tim was pissed off a couple of years ago about Spence having a crack at him, saying that he wasn't as good as his father. And I know that always touches a raw nerve with Tim because of what he's had to overcome to walk out of Costa's shadow and be his own fighter. So, look, I think what I loved about it, though, Macca, was this is a sign that Errol Spence is the real deal for this. He's not coming here for a holiday. I mean, I know they said that about Tony Harrison when he came here in 2022, that it was just a payday for him. I don't think it's a payday for Errol Spence. I mean, he will get paid well, but I think Errol still feels like there's more greatness in him.
Highlighting the event's significance, George Rose pointed to strong Australian fan support and the value of bringing major fights home. Rose explained that a clash involving Tim Tszyu and Errol Spence Jr. would lift the entire card, creating opportunities for local fighters. He stressed that developing Australian talent through big events remained a key priority.
Really good Australian fight fan support base here, and the more that we can get big opportunities here for our Australian fight fans and our Australian fighters, the more we'll keep doing it, because not only is this a huge fight for Australian fight fans, for Tszyu, for Errol Spence, it's also a huge opportunity for a lot of our other fighters to get big fights on this card. We've got a great undercard coming in. I'm going to give you. No, I'm not going to give you.
Come
any,
on, George.
I'm not going to give you any yet. We've got a really good undercard that's going to follow that announcement. So it's a huge opportunity for our Australian fighters too, and that's what we've sort of got an obligation to do. That's what we want to do, and that's what I think that we keep doing. We keep delivering on that.
On another note, promoter George Rose reacted strongly to the handshake footage involving Tszyu and Errol Spence Jr., calling it a tense moment that shifted emotions and intensified the rivalry. Rose believed it fired Tszyu up heading into July 26th, adding that such moments often shaped how the fight ultimately unfolded. He then stressed that the promotion's job was simply to channel that energy into a major night for fans.
Mate, Tszyu, we saw that footage sort of emerge there of the handshake. Is that the first time you've seen it? What did you make of that footage, George?
That was cold as. That was cold as. Look, it's good because it's going to switch Timmy on, and Timmy's going to be pumped for this fight. I thought that was a moment. I can understand why he called him a disrespectful fuck. I can understand that now. So it was a moment that I think set up what's coming on July 26th. I think that is the moment that'll decide how that fight's going to go. We're going to get a very, very, very good fight on July 26th.
Setting the tone, Eric Gomes shut down any talk of Errol Spence Jr.'s return being an easy restart against Tim Tszyu, calling it a risky fight from the outset. Gomes made it clear both fighters were stepping into real danger, where form and timing could decide everything. He then briefly shifted focus to how fight coverage has changed over time, linking it to his experience in the sport.
Errol Spence is back, and he's fighting Tszyu. This is not a pushover fight. Now, one thing I despise in boxing. Now, I'm not a hater. I don't care that more and more people are wanting to talk boxing. I'm a pioneer. I made you want to do that, right? All the channels looked up to me, and I showed people the way, because when I started, there weren't people doing that, right? There are people maybe going to the fight, interviewing the fighters, but I came in and pretty much turned it into a podcast and a daily, showing you what the fighter's weight was like, breaking down the fights, predictions, 7 reasons, ego Weight Watchers, unpack. We unpack, coming to you live.
Giving his take, Greg made it clear that support for Errol Spence Jr. did not change his honest reading of the situation. Greg explained that a 3-year layoff naturally brought rust, slowed timing, and disrupted rhythm at the highest level. He pointed out that Spence already looked slightly off in his last outing before the break, making a full return to his earlier peak form difficult to expect.
And it's been no secret, Jay. I've been of the mindset that Errol has not fought in 3 years, and when you haven't fought in 3 years, that can be a challenge, period.
Facts.
You're gonna be rusty. You're not gonna be the same fighter. And to be quite frank with you, and my personal opinion, he didn't look that sharp in his last fight because he had been off then, and now we're expecting him to look like the same Errol that he looked like probably back from 2019, 2020, whatever. And I just find that very hard to believe. I'm an Errol Spence fan. Everybody knows I'm an Errol Spence fan. I'm very excited to see him back, but I'm also a realist. And being a realist, I just cannot see him be the same type of fighter he was before.
Furthermore, Greg highlighted the clear differences in weight class experience and recent activity between both fighters, stressing how those gaps quietly shaped the challenge ahead. He pointed out that one fighter had stayed active and tested at 154 pounds against strong opposition, while the other had been away from that level and that division for a long time, making the adjustment far less predictable than fans assumed.
He sits at 154 pounds naturally. Errol has never fought at 154 pounds. And, you know, Tszyu has been in there with, okay, he lost against Sebastian Fundora, but the point is he's been in there with top caliber opponents over the last couple of years, and Errol has not. So all of those things can present challenges. I can't even say that they're challenges that you wouldn't be able to predict. those are predictable challenges that he's going to face, and yet boxing fans continue to kind of dismiss it. Boxing fans that name starts with, their first name starts with a J and their last name starts with an H, particularly, will just dismiss that, right?
The debate around Errol Spence Jr. and Tszyu keeps building as opinions split between doubt, belief, and raw respect for both fighters. Some see Spence as changed after time away, while others still trust his fundamentals to carry him through. Meanwhile, remains dangerous through activity and pressure. Everything is now pointing toward a high-stakes clash where form, timing, and mentality will decide the outcome. No matter who you favor, this fight stays unpredictable and intense. Like, subscribe, and comment your prediction below.